Hey, what's happening? Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates. My name is D, and today it's my Christmas special. So whether you're trying to kill some time between Christmas morning and Christmas dinner, or you've gathered friends and loved ones to, I don't know, show them what you're into on YouTube, or maybe you're on your own this holiday season, it's time to get your ugliest Christmas sweater, grab you a mug of your hottest chocolate, and let's talk about Red One, starring Chris Evans and Rock the Dwayne Johnson. I don't think I made this right. This tastes like absolutely nothing. Also, like, okay, the bit's over. This thing doesn't fit, and it's itchy as f***. Hold on. All right, nobody freak out. It's still me. It's still your boy D. I'm just in a different shirt, in different lighting, because it's a different day. While I was editing this video, I had some more thoughts come up, so I'm just going to, like, interject a little bit in the video. I don't want to mess up the flow too much, so I'm going to try to do it sparingly. You know, it's not going to be like a weird back-and-forth conversation with me from last night and me from right now, which is still the past from when you're watching this video. Anyways, before we get into the holiday cheer, I gotta give a quick shout out to my Plus Ultra Don't Fretters, my top tier supporters on Patreon, JJ Valdez, Peggy Luhu, and Laughing Cat Dog. Thank y'all for sticking around and supporting the channel and ensuring that I'm able to put out content as frequently as possible. If you also want to help support the channel and gain access to exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, make sure you consider subscribing to my Patreon, patreon.com/don'tfret_. If not, no worries, but please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. So I might have really fumbled this year's Christmas special. For starters, this is coming out on either Christmas Day or Christmas Eve if I, edit real fast. Secondly, I didn't read a Christmas book. Last year, I read 2 Christmas books. The Spicy Nutcracker, and the YA Christmas Carol. I know some of y'all were expecting me to come out with some Krampus smut or something. I don't know. Y'all are weird. Some erotica where a lady bangs a snowman, but I didn't. And that's because books are whack. And I hate reading. That's right, I said it. Books are bad. You know, it's not bad. Red One, starring Rock the Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans, and a polar bear in a vest. I'm just kidding. It is bad, but in like a good way. Anyways, if you haven't heard of this movie somehow, Red One is a Christmas action comedy, buddy cop, what even is genre anymore, I don't know, movie about the North Pole's head of security teaming up with a hacker bounty hunter guy to find Santa after he's been kidnapped, because we're just like out of ideas, I guess. I don't know. No, it's like a silly, goofy, fun idea. Like, it sounds dumb, but that's the point. And honestly, that is kind of the appeal of a lot of Dwayne Johnson movies. Is like, oh, that sounds stupid as hell. I'm in. Now, this movie is kind of controversial. And what I mean by that is there's some controversy like around the movie's release, specifically Dwayne Johnson's alleged behavior on set, being extremely late and missing shooting days, peeing into bottles and making his assistant or production assistants deal with the bottles. Because when you gotta go, you gotta go. And if your assistant isn't gonna deal with your piss bottles, why even have an assistant? By the way, in 2025, I'm going to be having interviews for an assistant. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. And allegedly or apparently, this behavior drove the movie from a $200 million budget to $250 million, which is more than Dune Part 2, which to me is crazy because if you look at this movie and you look at Dune Part 2, you would just think that Dune's the more expensive movie. I guess they got more bang for their buck. I don't know. Also, I don't know if this had to do with like the delays caused by Johnson's alleged tardiness, or if this had to do with the SAG-AFTRA strike or the writer's strike. This movie was originally slotted to come out like December 20th of 2023, and it came out this year in November. I think November 11th, 2024. I don't know if that matters. And The Rock has done like an interview where he says that some of what this, I guess it's a magazine called The Wrap reported he did is true, but not all of it, or it's not as bad as they said it was or whatever. And when I was talking about this movie on a live stream, some people were telling me about some of this. So I'm just letting people know that I know. I doubt that this is like relevant enough for me to have ever brought it up. I don't even know if it's relevant for this video. And this might, kill my already dead dreams of making it in show business, but whatever. I'm not a huge fan of The Rock, and I kind of cringe at this, but I used to be a huge fan of The Rock. And when I was really little, I convinced myself that he was my biological father. Like that episode of How I Met Your Mother where Barney thinks that Bob Barker's his real dad. But it's even sadder because I'm a real person. God, that's so embarrassing. I don't know. We maybe cut this out of the video. I don't know. But eventually I grew out of it, and I just kind of realized that, you know, none of his movies are good. He's always playing The Rock. And I don't just mean he's always playing The Rock in like the movies that he makes. I mean like he's always playing The Rock every time he's seen in public, on Instagram. It's all like he's more of a brand than a man at this point. And I don't remember if it was like him lying about going to In-N-Out for the first time, putting out a hair care brand, or that verse he had on a Tech Nine song, but something just I was like, I'm not, it's cringy. I don't have like a deep-seated hatred for The Rock for not being my real dad or something, because that would be insane. That's such a dumb thing to say. But yeah, I don't have like a disdain for The Rock. I just don't really like his movies, and I think he's kind of cringy and out of touch. I think Sunshine saw this movie right when it came out, and he liked it. And my wife really wanted to see it. We love us some Hobbs and Shaw. And before you comment anything, it has Jason Statham and Idris Elba in it also. Shut up. And I didn't really want to watch Red One. We already have like limited time, but a pretty long list of Christmas movies that we want to watch every year. So it's like, I don't really want to make space for this right now, because I'd rather watch Klaus or The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I know some people think is a Halloween movie, but I think it goes both ways. It's a bisexual film. That joke had more layers than Christmas Eve lasagna, which is a thing. Look it up. But I wanted to do some kind of Christmas special, and it was either this or Christmas in the Spotlight, the Lifetime original. Basically takes the real life romance between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and turns it into something. It's technically a movie. And my patrons voted for Red One because I guess they thought that was more on brand for me or something. Spoilers for Red One. So Red One starts off with a flashback of this piece of shit kid, Jack O'Malley, showing his cousins hidden Christmas presents that he found in a closet, presenting it as proof that Santa Claus isn't real. Jack can find anything or anyone, and one of his cousins hits him with the jab, except for your dad.
I can find anything or anyone.
Then why can't you find your dad?
And this clunky exposition is meant to let us know that Jack has always been good at finding things. He's jaded and cynical even from a young age, and all of his future misdeeds are the result of fatherless behavior. And as somebody who never knew his biological father and whose adoptive father wasn't really around for his childhood, I find this offensive. 1, not every person who doesn't know their dad turns out to be a deadbeat criminal. 2, a lot of people who do know their dads also suck. And 3, if fathers are so important and without them in our lives we just go astray and we do really terrible things because we didn't have one, why don't we as a society hold men accountable to be good fathers? Shut up. I know the answer is misogyny. Anyway, so 30 years later, Jack is grown up, he's had a glow up, and he's doing some kind of job or something. It's not clear what he actually is. Doesn't really matter. He watches some ladies do yoga for a little bit, sets a gazebo on fire, steals a lady's security badge, and breaks into a lab and attaches some like computer equipment to the computers. Next, we see Santa, played by J.J. Abrams, and it's weird that he's played Santa twice now. Like, why is Hollywood trying to push J.J. Abrams as our generation Santa? He's already J. Jonah Jameson. I do like J.J. Abrams like as Santa Claus. I think that his voice is probably why he's been cast as Santa a couple of times, because it's a good mix of gruff but also kind of soothing or reassuring in a way. So he's cool. But other than that, I'm just not feeling this cast like at all. Anyways, he's posing as a mall Santa and he's trying to talk to a group of kids, asking them what they want for Christmas. And he gets harassed by like an influencer or YouTuber or whatever. And this was a little funny because I honestly couldn't tell if this is like a really meta, self-aware joke, or a really out-of-touch representation of what the screenwriter Chris Morgan thinks influencers are like. But either way, it's kind of spot on. Anyways, The Rock does a tough guy face, and because he's so tall and so serious, the guy is intimidated and he leaves.
Now I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Then The Rock and Santa go home to the North Pole. The North Pole is cool, I guess. It's like a whole ass city. There's weird looking trolls, and the elves look like snoutless donkey men. And then there's Garcia, an anthropomorphic polar bear. Also, Mrs. Claus is an 11 out of 10 baddie and absolute cutie patootie, you know what I'm saying? Later, Santa and The Rock are working out, and Santa asks The Rock why he's retiring. And The Rock's like, there's more people on the naughty list than there are the nice list, and I can't stand grown-ups.
The list.
What about the list?
We're up almost 22% year over year. For the first time ever, more people are on the naughty list than not. And it's like they don't even care.
And I get that, because we suck. So I think that's kind of fair reasoning. And this was the scene where I started to notice it, but it comes up for me a lot in the movie. And it's, it doesn't matter whether I'm reading, listening to, or watching like a fantasy, which this is a fantasy because there's like fucking magic and shit. At some point, I'm going to find the dialogue really cringy and annoying. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what it is, at some point, the dialogue's going to have to take like a really silly concept or a really out there concept and treat it with the utmost seriousness. And I just find that really funny. Like, even in something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, when they're like, I lost my bending. For some reason, that just sounds weird to me. One Piece, they treat very silly situations with utmost seriousness at certain points in the manga and the anime. And in this movie, it's almost worse because we're dealing with like Christmassy stuff as well. And a lot of it's said by The Rock with this really stone-faced delivery. Zing. And it's like so funny. Like, it's not meant to be funny, but it's so funny. I hated with the superhero movie Black Adam. I saw it with my wife and our friend Pia. And in that one, he's just being all serious and edgy, and it just didn't work. His performance kind of works here. And low-key, this might be The Rock's, like, best performance of his entire acting career. But, like, some of the dialogue just took me right out of the movie. And I'm not saying it's a good performance. I'm just saying it's his best. So Santa gets kidnapped by Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Kiernan Shipka gives a chilling performance. See what I did there? Huh? My friend Natalie was in that show. And then the North Pole gets a call from director Zoe, played by Lucy Liu. She's the head of MORA, the Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority.
MORA?
MORA, the Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority.
Come again?
It's Men in Black, but for magical creatures. She has her trolls do some system hacking, action movie, computer mumbo jumbo, and they trace a signal back to the wolf. And this guy's a legend. In the next scene, we learn that Jack O'Malley isn't just a deadbeat spy with a gambling problem. He's also a deadbeat dad. He has a son, Dylan, who he like never sees, and Dylan gets like suspended for doing stuff very similar to what Jack does. So that's how you know they're related, because he looks nothing like Chris Evans. Anyway, so Jack picks up Dylan from his school. He's hungover and he buys himself 2 churros, and then he gives some amazing dad advice.
Never trust anybody. Anybody. And never let someone get the upper hand on you. Because they'll use it.
This would be me if I were a parent, and this is confirmation that I made the right decision in not having kids. Something that I kind of overlooked in the original recording of this video is that Jack O'Malley has a kind of emotional arc with his son Dylan. So Dylan is trying to make bids for a connection, but he's pretty young. I think he's supposed to be like, 12 or 13. And Jack feels as though the kid's better off without him because he's such a piece of shit. But like a lot of our parents who could do better, it hasn't occurred to him to do better. I think just the way it's written or the way it's executed, it didn't do anything for me, which is partly why I didn't really mention it, because I didn't think it was important. But it is Jack's entire character arc, so... Because, like, I guess major spoilers for the movie, by the end of the movie, he isn't, like, fully redeemed. His life is still pretty shitty. He just saved Christmas. So, later Jack is apprehended by Mora agents, and this sequence felt like it was choreographed, just to remind everybody that Chris Evans used to play Captain America. And Zoe hires/forces Jack to work with The Rock to find the people who paid Jack to find Santa. So watching this scene again, it's so funny. Lucy Liu and Dwayne Johnson are playing two of the most stoic characters I've watched in a long time. And I think that's supposed to be like the whole movie's bit, is that they're going to treat this like silly Christmas presents with just such stoic military seriousness, kind of like Men in Black, where I guess like Dwayne Johnson's character, Callum Drift, is supposed to be like a counterpart to Kay, Tommy Lee Jones' character in Men in Black, and Chris Evans is supposed to be like Jay, Will Smith's character. So I guess they kind of did a little switcheroo there or something. But it just doesn't really work here. Like Tommy Lee Jones was still funny in Men in Black, and Dwayne Johnson isn't at all. Even I think there's some dialogue that's supposed to be a joke, and it just isn't funny. And there's a bit in this scene where Garcia roughs up Chris Evans a little bit, and police brutality still isn't funny, even when it's a bear. And I guess they're not even police, so this is just assault. So yeah, Jack traces the bad guys to Aruba, and they encounter Nick Kroll. Ugh. And it's revealed that the big bad is Grilla, the Christmas witch, who promptly possesses Nick Kroll, threatens The Rock, and then sends Killer Snowman after him and Jack. They beat the Snowman, but not before Nick Kroll gets frozen, so now they need a new lead, and they think to themselves, Santa's adoptive brother used to date Grilla the Christmas witch, so he must be in on kidnapping Santa, and they go to Krampus's castle. Yeah, again, I don't get this weird anti-adoptee propaganda that Hollywood keeps trying to push, Krampus, Loki from the Thor movies, and there's some other third one I can't think of right now. I'm just sick of it, dog. I recently found out that some of my subscribers and a couple of my patrons are also adopted. Yo, a lot of them are just like, anxious little cuties that read books at home. Like, they're not evil. Leave us alone, okay? We ain't done nothing. Anyway, so they go to Krampus's castle, and Jack can't help himself, and he steals a golden coin. And because it's magic or something, they get caught. In order to gain the freedom, Jack makes a deal with Krampus. If The Rock can beat him in a game of Krampusschlap, they get to go free. And even though this scene is full of fairy tale creatures and monsters, by the way, practical effects look pretty good. Like, it's no Hellboy 2 The Golden Army. Still pretty good. Even though this scene is full of mythical creatures. The most fantastical, far-fetched element of this sequence was The Rock getting the absolute shit slapped out of him and him going, I can't beat him. Like, didn't this dude used to have like a no loss clause in his action movie contracts? Didn't he have a point system with Vin Diesel? He couldn't stand to look like less tough than Vin Diesel or something in the Fast and Furious. I don't know. That whole shit was so strange. And it was looking like The Rock was going to lose, Looked like things were looking not good for the heroes, but it was all part of Jack's brilliant plan. He steals back The Rock's magic bracelet thing, and they use it to escape by summoning Punch'em Robot. What are those things called? I don't even know. The Christmas witch has had enough. She sends an evil snow globe to Jack and his son picks it up, and he gets snow globed and sent to wherever the witch is hiding. So Jack picks up his snow globe and is like, yo, find me. I don't really know what the plan was here, but I guess he figured that wherever it took his son, he would also end up there. But there was like no way of knowing that. So that seemed like a big risk. This part of the movie doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, throughout most of this movie, even though it's a batshit premise and we're going all over the place and it's very silly, there's still a through line that kind of makes sense. And then here, it falls apart for me because why do they have to open this box? And one could argue, well, if they didn't open the box or they didn't get the call from Dylan, then they'd never know that he got taken by the witch. And it's like, okay, no, you could still do the phone call thing. And then they're like, oh, dang, she got him. Like, he didn't need to be sent the thing at all. I guess they're trying to set up, like, they have this heart-to-heart moment where Jack O'Malley becomes a little bit nicer and it breaks the snow globes and then they're free. But there was probably a way to write that better. Like, I know making movies is hard and I know writing is hard. I think like another draft and you would have come up with something a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more satisfying emotionally. These dudes have not really fucked with each other the entire movie. So it seems crazy that Jack would trust The Rock with his life and his son's life. Anyways, The Rock and Lucy Liu figure out that Grila's been hiding at the North Pole the entire time. So they go there. There's a big superhero movie type fight scene. Krampus shows up and does absolutely nothing. Grilla gets globed and they save Christmas. The sequence where Santa is delivering presents is admittedly pretty fun and like pretty well done. There's a very like action movie way of having Santa deliver presents, and I enjoyed that. The movie ends with The Rock, Santa, Jack, and Dylan flying into the sunrise, and Jack and Dylan's plot lines not being resolved like at all. Honestly, I have no idea if I even like this movie. I think it's fine, but I would never go out of my way to watch it again. Chris Evans and The Rock have like no chemistry here.
I'm not gonna like you. I can tell right away. Out of everyone here, I like you the least.
Evans is doing like all the comedy in this action comedy, and the writing's just not that funny. Like, it seemed like they were really relying on the sarcastic twerp stone statue combo being like a source of comedy gold, but it's just not really doing it for me. I know the villain isn't like really that important for this movie because it's more about just like the vibe. I feel like Kiernan Shipka wasn't the best choice for casting wise. Like, she's a good actor. I'm just not really getting menacing vibes from her. But this could very well be like a directorial issue. This script isn't that great. So like, you know, you give a good actor a bad script and they can only do so much. Cartoony motivations and not even enough screen time for me to really feel like this character is a threat. So I watched watching this movie back. She's really not menacing. Like, I think there's even some menacing music in some of her scenes, and it's just not doing anything for me. Get the sense that maybe she did all of her scenes alone or just with her henchmen or something, because I don't know, man. It's just something missing here. It feels, again, like this is part of what makes the movie feel so soulless, hollow. I just love a good villain, and Grilla wasn't that. Krampus was a more compelling character, and he was in the movie for like 2 seconds. It was a weird 180 arc, but whatever. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've mostly talked about books. And I've complained about people calling anyone who critically engages with books Karens, telling them that books are just meant for escapism, and you're supposed to just shut your brain off and not think about the plot or the dialogue or the world building or whatever, just read. Which makes no sense to me. But I feel like it's because of movies like this. This movie isn't meant to be like a deep intellectual exploration of the meaning of Christmas or the human condition, as seen through the eyes of an anthropomorphic polar bear in a vest. It's just supposed to be like a fun, silly, loud Christmas action movie. I know it wasn't a box office success by any means, but I think it's successful in accomplishing what it set out to do, except maybe to be as big as a Marvel movie. I don't know if this is true. I think some more like superhero people would know this for sure, but I think Santa is a mutant in the X-Men comics, right? So that's your Marvel Christmas movie right there. Have like Wolverine versus Santa or some nonsense. That'd be pretty funny, right? You get J.J. Abrams again. He loves doing Santa for some reason. And like from a filmmaking aspect, like nothing really blew me out of the water, you know, cinematography wise or effects wise. The plot is nonsense, but that's because the premise is nonsense. I think it's as good as it can be. I'm honestly more interested in the world building of this movie than the story that they're trying to tell. I'd almost be interested in seeing like a spin-off movie where Lucy Liu has some agents do a mission. Maybe Chris Evans comes back. We don't need The Rock, but like could get Chris Evans and would be funny if it was Anthony Mackie or somebody or Sebastian Stan, you know, just I don't know, it'd be funny. But yeah, I think there's some cool world building stuff. Even the magical effect of people getting trapped in the globes is cool. The plot's just not good. Johnson's delivery is so muted and dull and gray. It's like Chris Evans is acting to a wall, a rock wall. Zing. And you know what? I think that's also kind of what's going on with Grilla's actor, Keenan Shipka. Is very like muted, toned down, emotionless performance. you know, whereas like I think that some of these characters could be a little campier and a little sillier to fit the Christmas vibe a little bit more, because it's like, yeah, Dwayne Johnson being a hard ass because he's doing all those squats is funny for the Christmas movie. Not everybody has to do this. I think it's lacking in some areas. Like, I didn't laugh at all, like not once, and it doesn't have like a lot of heart in it. There's definitely an attempt at some heartfelt moments, and they just fall flat. This movie feels pretty hollow, but I guess it's fine. It's definitely not worth $250 million. It doesn't feel like a high budget movie, you know what I'm saying? I've said this before, but I think it's terrible in the way that a Little Caesars pepperoni pizza is terrible. It's bad, but it kind of hits the spot, and then you don't feel so good afterwards. If I were to give this a number rating, I think I'd give it like a 5.5 out of 10, and I can't say that I'd recommend it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you to my super duper don't fretters, Lauren, Desi, Cassie, Oliver, and Shade. Your support on Patreon is a real gift. And if you're not a patron and you didn't get me anything, don't worry about it. Just like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Thank you again so much for watching this video. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, because I think the 25th is the first night of Hanukkah as well. And yeah, my name is D. Don't fret, I'll see you next year. Or maybe sooner if I get my shit together. All right, peace.